Wow!
I'm the key master, baby!
This is our reactions to Everything Sucks, episode 6, entitled...
That would be a great question that 10 minutes ago Keith knew the exact answer to.
Sometimes I hear my voice, I think is what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Yes. We just want to say a quick thank you to everybody for watching last week. We're doing this week again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and I'm reacting to the last 5 episodes of this wonderful little show. What did you think of episode 6?
I thought it was pretty good. So just a quick catch up.
Yeah.
I had only seen episode 5 just then now.
Yeah.
Because I was not in on last episode review. So I saw 5, which was phenomenal. And then 6, I think, is carrying the same pace forward.
Yeah, yeah.
It was not quite as good as 5, but it was still very good.
Yeah. It was maybe less funny than 5, but
solid.
Yeah, and then it had more dramatic. We finally hit our big dramatic moment, right? And so I definitely agree with you. I mean, something we've said a few times is that the trailer showed too much. And it's like, now, okay, we've seen her saying, you're in love with the idea of me or whatever. And so now is where I'm really interested. It's like, okay, what actually happens next? Because until now, we've been sort of building to her saying that, right? We can assume a few more things from the trailer as much as what happens with Kate, but we don't really know what happens with Luke. So I'm interested to see that.
Right. There's one scene in particular that I know we haven't seen yet. The other ones, I think we've kind of covered the big ones.
Yeah. What do you think of the big climactic final, argument between the two of them? And one thing I talked about in the last video was how I felt like episode 5 was when they were getting Luke to his most unlikable point, whereas I can relate to what he was doing, but I'm also embarrassed that I can relate to that. And
they've done a very good job so far at getting the characters to be real.
Yeah.
I think episode 5 and 6 have really the characters, you know them, you feel them, and they're real. They're not archetypes that you get them.
Yeah.
The argument scene, I think, was pretty great. Yeah. I mean, especially when she says, can you at least say something? Yeah. That just felt so real.
Yeah. And I think that it worked really well because, I mean, her initial explosion felt like before they realized the car was missing, right?
Which did I call?
Yeah, saying in classic TV fashion. I mean, I do enjoy how the show does these tropes, but then doesn't make them the focus of the episode.
Right. It wasn't about, oh, geez, my mom's car.
Yeah,
it was oh well, there goes that hunker truck.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we can't use it as a spaceship anymore. Yeah. That's about it.
Well, we got the shot. When she sort of exploded at him, she, even though he had been sort of annoying and clearly not in the right for a lot of times, he kind of became the one in less of the position of morality or whatever, because she was so intensely and I couldn't help but feel bad for him, and she exploded on him. But then when he was not responding to her, and then when he did respond and his response was what it was, it kind of shifts the balance back and forth. We're okay, they're both flawed, and they both are understandable from where they're coming from. I still think he's making more mistakes than she is, but
I think that sort of the place where we're at is it's been culminating that he's sort of been selfish, had this idea in his head of a young romance, and then his outlet was her, and even though he knows that he shouldn't be pushing, he is because he can't help it. Yeah, and that's a flaw, but it's a realistic one. And then,
and I think there's an extra level there where, especially at that age, you go, oh, I can't help it because I'm in love. Right. And you're
banana slugs.
Yeah, because I have all those banana slugs. Do you fully buy into that he's just in love with the idea of her? This is a...
No, I don't think so. But it's a half and half thing. Yeah. It's he's in love with the idea of what she might be, even though it still is about her. Yeah. But the thing is, in this episode, we really get her being selfish, but in a good way. Yeah. She's thinking about herself. Yeah. So she's making it more about this is how I feel, and I can understand where I might go from here, as opposed to the opening scene of the last episode where they're trying to backpedal a little bit, oh, maybe I don't feel this way.
Yeah. She can only fool herself for so long. Right. Yeah, and Luke can only get away with this fake dating for so long too. And it's easy to trick yourself into thinking, oh, maybe she'll come around. the whole idea of being in love with the idea of a person. It's like very popular right now, right? Of like trying to, you know what I'm saying? It's very.
I mean, it's popular.
No, I mean like it's popular to talk about that as far as when you're talking about young love or you're talking about idealizing women or whatever. It's certainly when people talk about the trope of the manic pixie dream girl and stuff like that. I do think it's an interesting thing because I definitely agree, especially at the beginning of the show, right? He didn't really know her. He just wanted a girlfriend. He thought she was great or whatever.
She's the tall, interesting camera girl.
Yeah, exactly. But then it does get, into a more murky thing where I'm like, okay, yeah, he's still in love with the idea of what their relationship could be if she wasn't a lesbian. So he is in love with that idea as opposed to the real her, which she is a lesbian.
But at the same time, it's the other aspects of her that is why he feels that way.
I think he legitimately does have feelings for her based on the connection that they've shared and the things that they told each other about their pasts and all that stuff. So it's an interesting back and forth there.
I think they got that balance pretty good at this point.
Yeah. What did you think of the stuff with the principal and Mama?
Great. Yeah. I mean, the pool scene, just the shots in the pool scene were really great. Yeah. And then they kind of like went nicely with the shots of the concert scene very nicely in the way that like the lighting was. Yeah. It created a really nice enclosed space for both characters in both situations. And interestingly enough, the outcome was very different. Yeah. You created this sort of like zone where you trapped the parents and you trapped the kids, and the kids fell apart and the parents came together. Yeah. Yeah. So it's an interesting dichotomy.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think they're trying to say about the way that they're contrasting the kids and the parents, and especially because they've built the relationship between the parents based on them doing teenage-based tropes or whatever you want to call it. Like, what are you taking away from that?
It's interesting because the parallels they're both kind of misfits, they're both kind of mismatches. Yeah. You wouldn't think that either of them in both pairs would get together. Yeah. And one, the parents is sort of like, it's their do-over. It's like they each had a different kind of teenage life. Yeah. And it's their do-over to kind of meet in the middle and find happiness. Yeah. Whereas on the other end, it's like you have the young kids and they have all this promise and dreams, and it's they're trying to find out what they actually feel and what they want. Yeah. So I don't know what the exact message is, but it's definitely an interesting parallel with subtle differences. Yeah.
One of the things that I really think is interesting and that I really love about the show, we talked about it with the masturbation scene in the pilot, how they aren't really bound by any sort of like studio rules.
They're not shy.
They're not
bold and unabashed.
Yeah, and I think that is true both in showing the parents smoking weed, not having either group of people get in trouble. Like there's no like moral like in the normal sense, right? Like the kids go and do this thing and then the dad's like, well, I get it. Like
the car's gone. Yeah. It's fine. You kids had fun, right? It's funny because like in that scene, like he's the one who's got this kind of like teenage, like hyped up, had fun. And they're like the bummed out ones. Yeah. So it's like they don't need the lesson, they don't need the talking to. They've got their own like self punishment. Yeah. And he's just like, but you had fun, right? Hey, Luke, did you have fun back there, Luke? And they're just like, yeah, it's fine. That's just a great...
Yeah, I love that. I love that, yeah. I was like horrified by the parents doing all those things on school property. I couldn't handle that. That's not good principling. But they didn't get in trouble either. So I guess this is just chaos and hedonism.
Yeah, but great setup, great setup, and great use of space. Yeah, because these are places that you're then familiar with, and then like it's transformed after hours with the principal and the mom running around.
Yeah, definitely great. Anything we want to throw in about the TV, the movie filming or whatever from the beginning?
Loved like the David Bowie blue kind of like thing, and I love the way the car was decorated. Yeah. Too bad it's gone now.
Yeah, it was pretty great. Emmeline and Oliver are there.
Didn't hate them as much this time, especially because they're being kind of brought into the circle. Yeah. I know you want to talk about the dad vlogs.
Oh yeah. The fact that I do think it's funny that we have these sort of like this vlog device, but on VHS with Luke walking his dad, and I am interested to see where that brings us. If maybe maybe he's so focused on everything with his girl problems or whatever right now, but then something bigger like his dad coming home or whatever, it makes him see reality a little bit more.
It would seem that what they're setting up is, so the parents are getting together, and thus far the kids don't know about it. And Luke started with hating his dad, or at least, not caring for him. And now he's building this empathy and compassion through these tapes. He's feeling a connection through these tapes. So now I'm almost wondering if he does find out, like if he didn't find the tapes, he would be like, oh, that's, I guess, not a bad thing. I like this guy. He's a cool guy. But now he might have a conflict, whether his dad comes back or not. I think he's going to feel like a promise there. Just like Kate was kind of holding on to the promise of like, I can't say this is what I am right now, but like I see these two girls at the concert. That's my future promise. And Luke did not have that promise. His only promise was like the normal, like, oh, I need a girlfriend. I'm a young lad. But now he's gonna get this thing where like, oh, maybe I can reconnect with my dad. So
I mean, I'm interested in whether I could see now that Kate and Luke are at their like worst possible point between the two of them, right?
I could go down. I can go down.
I mean, well, okay. Well, now we're at least leading into that zone, right? This is when the parents tell them that they're dating. And which causes mayhem. And then
especially because like, how are they going to say that like they broke up and explain why?
And exactly. And then the question becomes, for me, is his dad in season 1? Does it end with his dad coming back? Or is it like things are finally settled down, things are okay-ish with the idea of, oh, they're going to become siblings or whatever, and then the dad comes back and Luke is torn and like he'd rather that, but then it's also going to mess up this whole thing, and then it causes more friction with him and Kate, because Kate wants her dad to be happy, and
I'm going to make a bold prediction. So we've only watched up to episode 6. I think that the end of episode 10 is going to involve the dad coming home, standing in front of the house and dropping a suitcase in front of the house, and it's going to have Oliver leaving to go to New York.
I mean, I can see that for sure, Oliver is his real son.
No, I think Tyler is Oliver's real son.
The Tyler Oliver thing, as weird as it is, it makes me like Tyler and Oliver more.
I mean, it's pretty much their only redeeming qualities.
Is there a weird connection with each other? Oh man!
And where do we think that's going?
I don't know that it's going anywhere. It's just that maybe Tyler will become like the new head of the drama department or something when Oliver leaves.
And what about Emmeline?
Emmeline, I think is gonna have to get over Oliver because he's gonna go away and she's gonna have to fall in love with Kate.
And what about the other nerd?
Madagascar? McQuaid. He's gonna fall in love with the Christian girl.
Very forgettable character. I think he's getting pushed more and more.
I agree. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this Reacts. Please let us know what you think in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share, all of those YouTube things people say at the end of videos. I'm Dan.
And I'm Keith.
And until next time,
we hope you're doing okay.